Good morning. If you want to see how we made these oak shelf extenders and fancy cutting boards, stay tuned because that's what we're going to do today. Well, welcome to another Memphis Monday 363, our 51st week of this year. Means next week will be our end of year show. Next week will be the last week of year 7. Today we're going to be building some wooden shelf extensions for a Blackstone Grill. My buddy's got a big fancy, one of those big Blackstone grills. You know, they cost lots of money and everybody loves them. But it's got these stamped metal shelves that wing out on the sides for working area. Well, he'd like to extend that and kind of put a cutting board style top on top of those metal wings. So I got a drawing in there of what the plan is, and we'll take a look at it. But we're not going to see anything unless we do what? Let's knock off that chit-chat and get to work. I made a little sketch here of what I think he wants. On the grill, it's one of those flat top grills with fire underneath it. It's got these wings that flop out on the sides, and there's a little slot right in here that are extensions. We'll put a little, that slot is 17 1/8 inches across here. So we'll make, our boards will be 20, we're going to make 2 of these, be 22 inches long, 12 1/4 wide, but I think we're going to make it 13 because this little cleat that's going to go in the slot, we're going to recess it back inside the board here so it's not sticking out like a sore thumb. And it'll be essentially a cutting board style, 1 3/8 inch thick, and that's the plan. Here's our stock. I've already glued it up. We need to sand it on both sides. And I've got what it essentially is cypress. I got 2 boards of cypress, 2 of plywood, cypress, plywood, cypress, plywood, and cypress. What we're going to do is we're going to cut a 45-degree angle across here and then feed it through the saw, and then we'll be able to flip-flop the ends. And the way I envision it, the plywood here will make a little herringbone pattern down the board. Now we're going to cut a 45-degree angle, a real smooth finish cut right along there. We'll use a skill saw. Now if you're going to make a lot of cuts with a skill saw, you know, the blade is offset from the fence about an inch and a quarter. I mean, 1 1/8 on mine. Yours might be different. But I keep this little stick right here that is measured 1 1/8 inches. So then if you have this little stick pre-cut, you just lay it along. I want to cut right along that line. Let's put this right along there and then line up my straight edge with this spacer. And then the spacer takes up for this 1.25 inch, 1.125 between the edge of the saw and the blade. This is the pattern we're going for, but problem is I don't think we have enough. I don't think we have enough stock. I think I'm going to have to. It's supposed to be 13 inches across here. It's only 9. We'll see. Well, welcome to the real world. I didn't make these long enough nor wide enough. And besides that, I think these make better cutting boards than shelf extensions. So I'm going to turn these into cutting boards and we'll try something different for the shelf extensions. So I guess we're going to take an intermission and I'll work on these cutting boards and then we'll go back to the shelf extensions later. Of course, I'll let you see the cutting boards because I think they're going to be good. Well, I got the glue up for the new sideboards. This is going to be all oak. I don't think it'll be as fancy, but I'm all out of fancy wood. Well, what we can do while that glue is drying on the sideboards, we can finish up these 2 what are turning out to be cutting boards. What I got to do now is cut off the cut off the jagged end here. I can do that on a table saw. Well, our cutting boards are finished. I got them all sanded up. I'm going to leave them out overnight before I put any butcher block oil on them because I don't want that butcher block oil to soak down into the glue. I want to make sure the glue is cured first. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes on this glue up. Right now it's just smeared with glue. What you want to do is after glue set nominally about an hour or 2 hours, you want to take the clamps loose, scrape that glue off and off of both sides, and then reclamp it. And So that's what I'm going to do now. See, now the glue is, it's real soft. As a matter of fact, it's too soft. I don't think I waited long enough. And you can just throw it into your trash can. If you wait too long, the glue just like turns into a plastic, and it's very difficult to get off without scratching the wood and everything else. Okay, I got the rest of the glue off, the excess glue. I'll let this sit overnight and we'll be able to process it. And first thing tomorrow we'll put some finish sanding on this and put some butcher block oil on. I think these are going to turn out really good. Well, it's been a couple of seconds for you. It's been about 8 hours for me. It's the next morning, and it's time to put some cutting board oil on our boards. I think that looks all right, don't you? I'll go ahead and oil this whole thing up, and we'll take a look at them. Well, here's our cutting boards, part of the project. Our real project is sitting over there. That's our shelf extenders for the Blackstone Grill. These turned out pretty good. This is the pattern that we started to go for last week, but we went a different way. But I think this turned out real good. Okay, now with these two, in the 6 we made last week, we have a pretty good supply of cutting boards. And here's the stock for our shelf extenders. I'm going to run it through my dual drum sander and smooth it out, and then we'll trim it up, and we got to figure out how to put the little cleats on the side to make it fit on those shelves. I got the blanks cut out for our shelf extenders. Let's take a look at the plan. Here on the plan, you can see that all we're doing is putting a cleat on this side here so that it'll tuck down in the slot that's on the metal shelf. Now, it won't do for that grain to be running long ways because that cleat will snap off. We need the grain running perpendicular to the grain of the cutting board. Maybe you can see it better on the board here. Here's the cutting board. And our cleat runs like this. Now, we don't want the grain to run this way. You can see why, because that grain this way, it could snap off you know, not normal use, but if you drop the thing. What we want, is for the grain. Let me draw this cleat a little bit bigger here. This cleat is 17 inches long. And about 3 inches wide. We want the grain to run this way. And I plan on holding it in with cabinet screws, like that. So here's my stock. It's an old glue up, and it's almost long enough. It needs to be 17 inches, but I have to add one more board to it. So I'll glue this board to it, and then we can cut our cleats off going across the grain like this. Well, I got the little alignment cleats here. This will hold the shelf in place in that little slot behind that steel shelf. I went with mechanical fasteners. I've used these several times this year. These things with the big heads on them. I drilled a massive hole, pilot hole, countersunk them. These ordinarily won't be seen. This will be set right up against the smoker, and so I went with the strongest configuration I could think of. So this thing's glued. The grain goes this way, so this thing is indestructible. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to treat these like cutting boards, and I'm going to coat both of them with butcher block oil, and then we'll take a look at the whole project. Well, these are our Blackstone Grill shelf extensions. My friend plans on putting these on either side of his grill, and he can use them for food preparation or just normal storage. They come off. The reason it looks so good is this is oak that has been flipped up on the edge, and so you get in the what's called quarter sawn. You're getting this quarter sawn effect this way. So it came out real good. We went overboard putting this side piece on here. This goes down in the slot because we want to make it extra strong and non-splittable. And then we got a couple of bonus cutting boards out of the deal. Turns out this was going to be the original shelf extenders, but they weren't quite wide enough or tall enough. I misunderestimated, as George Bush would say, and didn't quite have enough stock. But I don't think we're out anything because I think these turned into very nice cutting boards. I'll have to remember this design. All right, so that'll do it for Memphis Monday 363. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 363, the 51st week of year 7. I got the camera set up so you can just barely see our shelf extenders in there. I made those fancy patterns. I was going to use that to make the shelf extenders, but I underestimated the amount of material I need, and they were a little too short and a little too narrow. But I think the new oak ones are going to be super durable, and they look pretty good too. So next week we're gonna have our big year-end review where we're gonna go through all 52 projects and have a little have a little presentation on all 52 projects. So if that's too boring for you, it won't be boring. There'll be something there you'd like to see, and I'll put up there what Memphis Monday it was, and if it's something you'd like to see, then you can go look that up. Okay, like, favorite, share, all the stuff to do on the internet, but most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.